My name is Moray. I am a fashion designer who cannot afford a history degree, so I make videos on the internet about subjects I like. Today we are discussing a queen that means a lot to me. Her name is Amanirenas, and she is a Nubian queen who should be way more famous than Cleopatra in my opinion. Not only was she a warrior queen, of Augustus showing her victory. And I think that's way cooler than Cleopatra. I mean, affairs are great and everything, but keeping your kingdom in peace for centuries to come is way more of a win, to be honest with you. So let's delve into it. It thrived around 1070 BC to 350 CE, so it was a very prominent kingdom. Its capital was Napata, and then the capital ended up switching to Meroë, which is where the Meroë Head comes from. And the kingdom of Kush had its own writing system and architecture, and this is what made it incredibly independent. History began as early as Egypt's Old Kingdom, and it was a place where ivory and gold was flourishing. Much of Egyptians' New and Middle Kingdoms, Kush was under Egypt's control. However, during the period where Egypt had its new kingdom, Kush ended up going independent. However, the Kushites adopted many Egyptian customs, and its most famous moment is when King Kushite ended up conquering Egypt during the 25th dynasty, and the Kushites ruled both Egypt and Kush. Despite the success, the Assyrians then invaded and the Kushites had to move to Nubia. However, the head city of Napata was moved to Meroë, and Kush became a center for iron production. Kush became a place where metalworking was huge, and during this period we start to see the rise of the Kandake, or Latin it's called Candace, and it's the name of a queen, the female queens. Now, we're going to be talking about how the Kingdom of Kush treated women during this time, because famous Egyptian goddess Isis played a huge role in how Kush saw their population of women. So, in the Nubian valleys, worship of Isis was key. The art of this time shows women giving birth to gods. Women were on a pedestal. The most famous myth we have of the goddess Isis is when she was looking for her husband Osiris. Osiris was murdered by his brother Set. Isis was the one who found Osiris and reassembled his body and brought him back to life. Isis was the one who did the work and gave birth to their son Horus. And due to this story, Isis was the most worshipped goddess out of this trinity of Horus, Osiris, and, well, Isis. Women were seen to be nurturers and people who put men back together. She was seen as the divine mother of all rulers. And yes, divine mother was a pattern that followed in Nubian history because there were 10 Kandakes, or female rulers, Candaces. With that being said, let's talk about Amanirenas' early life. Now, there's not that much information about her early life compared to other rulers, but we do know that she ruled around 40 BCE. Being a queen, she was trained in governance and military strategy and diplomacy, because that's essential to being a ruler, something our modern day rulers do not understand. She ruled amongst her husband Tekas. Tekas played a crucial role in the Kushite military. However, when Tekas passed away, it was Amanirenas who had huge boots to fill, and certainly filled them. So let's talk about how Rome and the Kushites interacted. It's 30 BCE that we can see that the Kingdom of Nubia becomes a Roman province. It was the Battle of Mark Antony and Cleopatra during the Battle of Actium that did that. Now, I will talk about the Battle of Actium, but spoiler alert, Augustus wins the Battle of Actium and Mark Antony and Cleopatra perish. And this is when we see Nubia, well, be invaded by Rome. First Roman governor of Egypt, Cornelius Gallus, demands that the Kushites insert their rulers and accept Rome as being, well, Romans, I was going to say accept Rome as being theirs, but accept Rome as ruling the Kingdom of Nubia. However, it's 24 BCE, we see that the Nubians resist the Romans. The rebellion becomes really, really strong. The Kushites are burning buildings and attacking statues, a statue that's very important that we're going to talk about shortly. Publius Petronius, a Roman general, ignores the Kushites' rebellion and carries out resisting their attacks. Publius Petronius, the Roman general, leads a counteroffensive and attacks many Nubian cities. However, he reaches Napata and he decides that he's going to enslave the population, take many captive. This conflict produces one of the most famous Roman artifacts, and Amanirenas has a lot to do with taking it. The Kushites loot all the Roman statues, and they take a particularly important Roman statue. They take the head of Meroë. And who's leading this offensive against the Romans? It's Amanirenas, the one-eyed queen. Despite losing Napata, Amanirenas refuses to subdue the Romans. Petronius establishes a garrison at Premnis to subdue the Kushites, but they carry on. At this point, Rome is rethinking their position. The Kushites have done a lot of damage. Now then, let's talk about the peace treaty that Amanirenas negotiated with Augustus. Amanirenas meets with Augustus, and the Romans decide that the risk of the Kushites causing chaos is too much for them, and they agree a peace treaty, and they agree that the Romans need to withdraw. I mean, I want to make a joke about Donald Trump right now with Ukraine, but this is not the time, especially when World War III is on the brink. Not only did this peace treaty give the Kushites 300 years of peace, but Rome became a trading partner. So not only did the Romans leave, but the Kushites got them on side as a trading partner. I mean, that's incredible. That's better than anything Cleopatra did. Now, in regards to the relationship between the Kushites and the Romans, actually it was Nero who tried to invade Nubia. I mean, obviously bloody Nero is the one who's going to try again, but he wasn't interested, or he says he wasn't interested. Nero had a huge ego. And actually, it's writers like Pliny the Elder who have had a huge interest in Nubia since. So Nubia became a place of interest for Roman and Greek writers. Because I'm a classics girl, I'm very interested in heritage and history. We're going to be talking about the Meroë Head, the Meroë statue. Oh, the Kushite forces take this head as an act of rebellion. You know, they slice it off and Augustus' head is theirs. And what do the Kushites do with this head rather than displaying it like a vulgar war trophy? Well, they actually bury it. They bury it beneath the steps of Moray. And you know why? It's because anyone who would enter that temple would be stepping on Rome. They would be stepping on Rome's head. They don't display it as an ego trip, but the Kushites wanted the people of Kush to step on Rome's head. You know, it was a symbol. It was a symbol of Kushite resistance. I think that's pretty bold, right? I think, you know, that's powerful. That is not egotistical, you know, that is quite sneaky, and it just shows how fantastically calculated the Kushites were, right? obviously this head of Meroë ends up in the British Museum.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Because everything ends up in the British Museum. And it was found by John Guston in 1910. This head was donated to the British Museum by the Sudanese Excavation Committee. This excavation committee was funded by wealthy British and European patrons. Guston's excavations revealed the Temple of Ammon. We actually have some information from Strabo, and he states that the Kushites were excellent looting and they buried many statues. I think that Augustus anyway is a very recognizable figure. I think he's like the pretty boy of Rome. I think because he is Augustus, or Octavian before he became Augustus, he is incredibly identifiable. And actually it's Guston who thought he was Germanicus, which I find really, really strange because Augustus is iconic. Like, the most striking feature of this statue is actually the glass eyes when they're staring at you. I've seen it in the British Museum and they're just like that. It feels really lifelike, really, really real. It transports you back to that time. There have been many theories on if this item was used as a victory symbol. There have been many theories on whether the burial story actually happened. There's a theory that the statue was gifted to the Meroites. However, the way it was found, which was under the temple, you know, and the way that the Kushites wanted the people of Kush to step over it, suggests that the Kushites ended up looting it and used it for its intended purpose. So yes, this was quite a fun video actually. I really like learning about this. If you like these videos and hearing me talk about history, then you should like and subscribe, because I'm only a few months into doing YouTube and I really, really like seeing all the comments and the likes. It really makes my ego go, eh. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.